This is a matchup that seems so one-sided on the surface and on a spec sheet, but the more you use these devices, the more you realise just how competitive they actually are. The OnePlus 13 sits in between the Pixel 9 and the 9 Pro in price, and today we're comparing it against the former. Hey guys, I'm Ryan Thomas, and let's get one thing out of the way right from the start. Whilst these phones are priced relatively similarly, you are just straight up getting more hardware with the OnePlus and software with the Pixel, but there's more to it than just pulling up spec sheets and directly comparing them. This is where armchair enthusiasts fail every single time. You really got to spend a bit of time with these things in person to tell what they're really made of. From the feeling in the hand perspective, both are metal and glass sandwiches with camera bumps and clicky buttons. Aside from the obvious size difference, which will already be a deciding factor for a handful of people, there are some important differences here. The power button and volume rockers are inverted on the Pixel, so the power button is higher up and it's lower down on the OnePlus. Of course, OnePlus has the staple alert slider, which I personally use all the time on my OnePlus 12, and the OnePlus also has an IR blaster where the Pixel doesn't, along with IP69 over IP68, which protects the 13 against blasts of water jets, but otherwise should get the same kind of dunking resistance. Is this a big deal? Well, it's going to depend on your personal needs from a smartphone. And this is where I love the Pixel 9. Its feeling in the hand is just straight up way nicer than the 13 for me. Might not be to you, but that's again a subjective thing. The 9's smooth tapers on its rails feel way higher end than the slightly awkward angles of the 13's. With the first party cases, I have both of them here. It all but eliminates this issue though, so it really is up to you. More objectively, the OnePlus 13's Snapdragon 8 Elite is more powerful in basically every single way compared to the Tensor G4 found in the Pixel 9. And so for those who love high-end gaming for hours at a time, or those that just believe they need truly elite level performance, there was only ever going to be one winner here. However, for most people, the Pixel 9 performs superbly. I mean seriously, I'm a bit of a power user and I haven't had a single performance issue with the 9. I'm not sure most people will, unless they're really nitpicking. The 9 is really that good, but you wouldn't be able to tell that if you just compared these things in benchmarks and on paper. But with double the base storage, newer storage standards, and more RAM at the high end, objectively this one just has to go to the OnePlus 13. Just like the battery life and charging situation. Now, I know in certain parts of the world there's no way of getting the coveted 100-watt OnePlus charger in the box with the 13, which is a big shame, although some regions still have it, but neither do you get that in any of the Google Pixel 9's boxes, so that said, OnePlus must take the win there. Its battery is also over 20% larger, and it's just more longevous than the Pixel 9. I still get a full day with the Pixel 9, absolutely no problem. It is a very good battery and only the most intensive users are going to kill it by the end of the day. But for those who really need seriously big battery life, the 13 with its 6000 mAh battery is just going to be the one. For me, it's a 2-day battery. It's just another level. Displays are an interesting one because, as has been the case with previous generations, in HDR the OnePlus 13's display also gets slightly brighter, which is interesting, but again limited to that select HDR content, because when you switch over to SDR or when you're using your phone outside of those HDR situations, when you're just browsing around, scrolling and stuff like that, the Pixel 9's panel is substantially brighter. It is noticeably brighter, which is quite interesting, but it makes the 9's panel for me the better one day to day. However, the OnePlus 13's panel is technically quite a bit sharper, not something that, unless you have unreal levels of vision or are seriously holding the phone right up to your face, you're ever going to notice though. But if you watch a lot of HDR content, stuff on Netflix, films, stuff like that, maybe the 13 is going to be better for you. And of course, because it is a bigger screen, if you just need something bigger, the 13's got your back there. Of the two ultrasonic in-display fingerprint scanners, I did find the Pixel 9 to just be a hair more responsive, and I mean it really is so close you basically can't tell the difference. And they are so much better than their optical predecessors. The 13 speakers sounded fuller, louder, clearer, if that's useful to you as well, and I haven't noticed any major difference in Wi-Fi or LTE signal quality. There's really not much 5G in my area, so I couldn't properly test that around here. And whilst the haptic motors in both are really accurate, the 13's just felt that little bit more precise, which aids in a very high-end feeling. Right, the good stuff, the big ticket item. It's time to compare those cameras, and it might be tighter here than you might first think. Despite the OnePlus's clear advantage being its 3 times dedicated prism telephoto versus no telephoto hardware to speak of at all on the Pixel 9, though both have pretty huge camera bumps, albeit in slightly different styles. In zoomed in shots, it's way closer than you might think, given the Pixel's lack of dedicated telephoto. Sure, the OnePlus pulls ahead once you break 5 to 10 times, where it becomes really its own show, but the Pixel 9 does a fine job way up to about 5x on its main sensor, which is a crop, which incidentally is a smidge bigger than what you'll find on the OnePlus 13. The most succinct way I can compare these two camera stacks is that the OnePlus delivers brighter, sharper, contrastier images at the cost of natural colour. The Pixel 9's images are darker, but also look closer to what I saw with my own eyes at the time I was taking the photos. I think I actually prefer the aesthetic of the OnePlus 13's photos, but this is totally subjective, so please judge for yourself and let us all know in the comment section, because it's quite an interesting one. There's a bit more field of view with the Pixel 9's ultra-wide, which is handy to have, but on the flip side, the OnePlus can shoot 8K video where the Pixel is limited to Ultra HD 4K at 60 FPS. That said, I still prefer the Pixel's video as, once again, and I feel like a broken record saying this, the captures look more natural in colour, contrast and so on compared to the OnePlus video. It's crazy tight between these two camera setups, and I think I'm going to have to give it to the Pixel for the more natural bokeh thanks to the slightly larger sensor, bigger field of view on the ultra wide, more natural colours and those augmentation tools that beat out OnePlus's offerings in its first party camera app. The software suites are pretty different, of course. OnePlus has significantly upped its game when it comes to AI, with its first party camera app looking pretty complete at the moment and its first party photos app looking even better. Though that said, you still get a bit more with the Pixel, so if AI features are what you're into, it's the way to go. You get AdMe, Pixel Studio, Audio Eraser, along with some fantastic audio transcriptions. When you consider the slightly longer software support going forward as well, for me it's a no-brainer. The Pixel 9 wins the software battle. You're not going to be disappointed with Oxygen OS on the OnePlus, by the way. It's come a long way in the last few years. It's a very complete and functional package, and one that I use every day. It's not bad, it's just not quite as good as Pixel Experience. These phones really are for two very different kinds of people. They both do a phenomenal job in their respective subgenres, and whilst neither are maybe the absolute apex of Android phones, they're very high up on that list. The OnePlus 13 is more powerful with a bigger battery and has more camera hardware, the alert slider which is super handy, but since it's new, it's also not on discount and so will cost you more. The Pixel 9 offers better software support, the more reliable point and shoot camera for me. It feels better in the hand, but again, that's subjective, and is a lot cheaper since you can find deals on this thing. I've seen it on Best Buy for significantly cheaper than it was brand new. For most people, I'd go Pixel 9, and for the enthusiast, I'd go OnePlus 13. It's that simple for me. If I had to pick between these two personally, it would be ridiculously hard. I mean, the alert slider, battery life, maybe I'd go OnePlus 13, but it would be seriously tough to pick, and actually my answer might change in a few minutes and then back and forth and flip-flop between the two because they really are just that good. Which of these two phones are you picking, guys? Let me know in the comments. I'm sure enthusiasts will love the 13, and because the Pixel doesn't have the 8 Elite, will not look at that whatsoever. But actually, again, if you use these in your hand and you use them for a couple of days, a few days, you start to realize they are way closer than you think if you're not running benchmarks 24/7. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Let's start a dialogue, and whilst you're down there, be sure to hit like if you enjoyed today's content, and of course subscribe to never miss another upload, including more comparisons on the go. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Ryan Thomas, and I'll catch you later. Cheers.